Hello guys, welcome to a pretty special video for me. This is a video that I've been meaning to make for quite a long time. This is my almost complete RPG collection from Mega Drive and Mega CD. Now, I'm saying almost for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's kind of a vague definition of a genre. Who can really say what an RPG is? A role-playing game for me is just an epic adventure that usually involves, upgradable characters and that kind of thing. But as you'll see, there are several different gameplay styles represented in this collection. But mainly it's not complete because there's two post-market releases that have been put out there that are currently very, very rare. They don't come up on auction sites very often, and when they do, people are asking crazy prices for them. I'm just not willing to spend that amount of money on them. And those two games are Legend of Wukong and Star Odyssey. Now, those two games are put out there by a company called Super Fight Team. I do have the third post-market release that Super Fight Team put out there, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But those two games I've recently discovered are going to have a second print run. Super Fight Team are currently taking pre-orders and they're going to put out another run in 2017. But I didn't want to wait another year and a half at least till I made this video. I also didn't want to wait until I'd played all these games. Now, that would have given me a little bit more authority on which to speak of the games, but it's going to be a hell of a long time before I actually get around to playing and completing all of these games. So I'm doing this video now, and let's get cracking with the knacking. Right, so first off is the third game by Super Fight Team. It's the post-market release. It's Beggar Prince. As you can see there, it's region free. It's got the Genesis and Mega Drive branding on there. So yeah, pretty excited to have this. I got it for a decent price as well, because you can see a little chip off the corner of the box there. I ended up getting £10 off the price for that. So yeah, he listed it as new. It's clearly not. So Beggar Prince though, yeah, pretty standard RPG fare. I'm sure that can be right up my alley. I'm happy to have that. Okay, the next one is Buck Rogers. It says there on the cover, science fiction role-playing game. So it's nice to have a science fiction themed game in this collection. Most RPGs are kind of set in the mythical ye olde worldy sort of setting, orcs and magic and wizards and that kind of thing. But this is science fiction and it's nice to have that. So I'm sure that's pretty quirky. Happy to have Buck Rogers. The next one is Dungeons and Dragons Warriors of the Eternal Sun. So yeah, pretty easy to get out of this one. But yeah, nice dungeon explorer game. I really like those. There's a few of those in this collection. The dungeon explorer type style of game there. So yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, pretty cool. Right, next one is Exile by Team Renovation. Or Renovation Projects, is it? Yeah. So Exile. Now, what's notable about this is that whilst the exploring of towns is a traditional top-down perspective, when you get to dungeons, it's actually kind of side-scrolling, hack and slash sort of action adventure there. So yeah, that would be pretty interesting to see how that plays out. A nice mix of styles there in Exile. Now this is one of several in this collection that didn't get a European release. So as you see, the Genesis brand in there. I do have a Mega Drive that's able to play all regions, so that's pretty cool. I've had to get several of these games imported, and that is one of them, Exile. So next one is Fatal Labyrinth. Pretty generic dungeon explorer. Not a lot to say about that one. Fatal Labyrinth. Next one is The Fairy Tale Adventure. Now, this has real-time battles, as do some of the games in this collection, real-time battles, and this is put out by Electronic Arts. They didn't do much wrong on the 16-bit generation. They really had a quality run for the Mega Drive, so I'm sure there's going to be quality in this game. Fairy Tale Adventure there. And we've got King's Bounty. Now, this is a strategy RPG. I wouldn't say it's my favourite subgenre within this category of games, but yeah, the strategy RPG is usually where you're kind of using this space to move around in a kind of a chess fashion to gain advantage in terms of the position of your characters. So that's the difference in the gameplay element there. But yeah, certainly an epic adventure, King's Bounty there. And again, Electronic Arts, again, I'm pretty confident that's going to be decent. Next we have Landstalker. Now this is pretty unique because it has kind of an isometric graphical style. It's really pretty. It's good graphics for the Mega Drive, this one, Landstalker. I'll try and show you some screenshots there. It's a lot quicker than editing stuff in later. So there you go, Landstalker. And yeah, this did get a sequel on the SNES, and you could say that on the Saturn it had a spiritual successor in Dark Savior, and yeah, its hero has probably the most uninspiring name of any hero in a video game. The hero is called Nigel. I just thought that was funny. Sorry if you're actually called Nigel. But yeah, Landstalker, pretty cool looking game. The next one, funny enough, is another isometric action RPG with platforming elements, similar to Landstalker. This was put out by Treasure. It got mixed reviews, but again, if you look up any of these games on YouTube, you'll see in the comments some people saying, this is my favourite game ever, this is the best game ever, kind of thing. So, you know, subjectivity, it's a thing. So not great reviews, but there are some people that love this game, and I'm sure I'm going to like it. Treasure was a mark of quality on the 16-bit generation, so I don't think you can go too far wrong with this. And they really had a way with the Mega Drive of squeezing the best visuals out of the Mega Drive there. Hopefully you can get some sense of how it looks there. I think it looks pretty good for a Mega Drive release. And funnily, there's a sticker on front of this box that says, "Smoking, who needs it?" So there's Knuckles there, you know, encouraging the kids to quit the fags. Come out from behind the bush shelters and put those cigarettes down. Bizarre. Bizarre. Smoking, who needs it? Nice one, good on you, Knuckles. Anyway, Light Crusader by Treasure. A mixture of platform, action RPGs. So there we go. Now, next one is The Immortal. Now this one is famous for being balls hard. It's also quite graphic in the gore, the death scenes and the mutilation of enemies. There's a lot of variety to the various ways that you can, you know, destroy your enemies. Quite graphic violence for the time, but yeah, famous for being very, very difficult. There's The Immortal there. Okay, next we have Might and Magic. That is Gates to Another World, Might and Magic. A very successful series, and this one has some quite unique gameplay elements. Your characters, you can get a variety of different characters, they actually age in the game, to the point where if they get really old, they can actually start dying of natural causes. So that's a pretty unique gameplay feature, that your characters end up dying of natural causes if they get really old, and they do age throughout the game. There's also time travelling mechanics in the game, and what else did I put about that on my notes? And there's class-specific quests as well, so sometimes you have to split up your party in order to do certain quests, and certain, you know, certain of your characters will be excluded from certain quests. So there's some variety to the gameplay there, and quite stat heavy, as you can see. Some nice cartoonish graphics there. I think I'm going to love Might and Magic. Right. Next one is Rings of Power. This was made by none other than Naughty Dog Software. Yes, the same Naughty Dog that made The Last of Us. So this is one of their earliest games, Rings of Power. Next we have New Horizons, another Genesis exclusive, didn't come out in Europe, but it apparently is the ultimate role-playing adventure. So yeah, happy to have that one. Yeah, New Horizons. There we go. Then we have a series of 3 games on the system. It's the Phantasy Star series. We have Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star 3, and of course Phantasy Star 4. This one's getting pretty desirable now. In my local indie store, they have one in the glass cabinet for £80. I didn't pay that for it. I think I paid about £40, but yeah, a very influential series, very successful series, and actually quite ahead of its time in the sense that it used quite adults, quite mature themes and storylines, and so it was praised for that. It also had a science fiction setting, and that's something that one of its competitors, Final Fantasy, did go with as well. The original Phantasy Star came out about the same time as the original Final Fantasy, so this dates all the way back. Of course, the first one came out on Master System, and then you got these 3 classics on Mega Drive. Very highly thought of series, and this is yeah, the type of the JRPG, the classic turn-based battling with, I think, 5 characters you can have up to. You know, again, very good for multitasking, playing these games whilst doing other things, watching YouTube videos, and as I said before, you know, whatever else. So yeah, Phantasy Star series, an essential collection, essential addition to a Mega Drive RPG collection. So the next one is another aftermarket release, and this is Pier. This is by Watermelon, is the name of the company that did it. This remains the biggest Mega Drive cartridge in existence at 64 megs A huge game, thanks largely to the gorgeous graphics. A lot of care was put into the visuals in this game. It absolutely looks gorgeous. So that's Pier there. And this game's done really well as well. This has actually got a re-release on Wii U. They actually did a Kickstarter a few years ago to also bring the game to Dreamcast and other platforms. So it's done really well, and it's got a few re-releases. This is the second print edition. Pier, beautiful game. Really well produced. Right. Then we have the Shining series on the Mega Drive. We have Shining Force 1 and 2. Now these games again have got a more recent release. They also came out on the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console. So yeah, the Shining games have done pretty well. And again, this is kind of the kind of strategy RPG in terms of again using moving your players around the battlefield to gain an advantage with the placement of the characters, that type of thing. So it's that kind of game, but very highly thought of. Shining series. The other game on the Mega Drive in this series is Shining in the Darkness. Now that's not strategy, that is a traditional JRPG with turn-based battles, and in terms of locations the game's very simple. There's only one dungeon with several floors and only one town with obviously the shops and such. But yeah, the action itself is very addictive, and that's exactly the kind of thing I like, those turn-based battles. So Shining in the Darkness, I really do like that one. Right, next we have Shadowrun. Now, I really enjoyed the SNES version of this game. They're two different, completely different games. Apparently, some people consider this to be even better than the SNES version, so I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of fun with this one. Now, I really do like the sound of the setting for the story of this game. Let me read from the back. It says, the year is 2050, and the megacorps rule by power of information. Everyone is on file in the global mainframe, everyone but you and a handful of invisible outlaws called Shadowrunners move through the grim and magical realities of futuristic Seattle and uncover a diabolical plot that could destroy the world. Sounds quite prophetic, doesn't it? Megacorps ruling by the power of information. Is that happening now? I think it kind of is. But also prophetic on the back here, it says, take on a variety of shadow runs, including cleaning up the streets, jacking into the Matrix for a big time cyber heist, or pulling off a risky corporate extraction. So jacking into the Matrix in 1994 this game was. So Keanu Reeves, I think you have something to answer for. Where did you get the idea, or whoever made Matrix? Anyway, so yeah, jacking into the Matrix in '94 and Shadowrun. Love the style of the gritty kind of this cyberpunk theme to it. A bit more, it felt more a bit more adult than a lot of games in the generation. At least the one on SNES did, and I'm sure this is very similar in feel. The next one is Soleil. So this was Sega's answer to Link to the Past, the SNES Zelda game, and you can tell just looking at the screenshots, it really does look like a complete Link to the Past rip-off there. And there's Sonic lazing on the beach. But yeah, it's a great game in its own right. It's not just a photocopy of Link to the Past. It's a really good game. If you enjoyed that game, you will enjoy this one. It's a cracker. Soleil, highly recommend that one. Next one is Sorcerer's Kingdom. Again, do not know too much about this one. This is another NTSC exclusive, at least for English language. Didn't come out in Europe. Sorcerer's Kingdom. Now, two games that are epic in scale, and I'm including them in this video. Again, classification of games, I'm not going to bother too much about worrying over them, but it is Star Control and Starflight. Yes, huge expansive space exploration adventures with a lot of character and some unique gameplay features. Starflight and Star Control there. I'm not going to spend too long on all these games, or we'll be here all day. So the next one, another game I can highly recommend, and it is The Story of Thor. In the NTSC region it was called Beyond Oasis, I believe. Again, this took its cue from Link to the Past, and you can tell from looking at it. And yeah, the dungeons that you go into would have these puzzle elements to them, and one of the main gameplay mechanics in the game would be the acquisition of various elemental forces, elemental characters that you would work with, and that's like a fire, water, air, and earth kind of elemental characters that each you need to traverse the various dungeons. But yeah, if you think Link to the Past, not a million miles away. Story of Thor, absolutely brilliant game. This will appeal to fans of various different genres, I would say. Now the next one is Super Hydlide. Not much to say about that one, but it is in the collection. There we go. The next one I do have stuff to say about. This was my favourite action adventure game, RPG, whatever you want to call them, when I was a kid. It's the game that got me into the genre, really. Absolutely epic in scale, unlike anything I'd played at that point. You know, you're playing your Sonics, you're playing your Marios, all this kind. This was completely different. This is Sword of Vermilion. Now, notably, this is actually Yu Suzuki's first console exclusive. So yeah, the guy who made Shenmue made Sword of Vermilion. Oh yeah, and he made all those other classics as well, but this is a classic game. The scale of it, as I said, was ridiculous. You really felt out on a limb when you went from town to town. Before you could get to another save point, you really felt the danger of you know, trying to make your way there to the next save point. And it actually came with a hint book. That's how big it was. It boasted of the size of the game and the amount of towns and the area and the amount of hours they expected you to play. And it came with this hint book that told you everything you need to know about the different locations, you know, what's in the shops, who to speak to, that kind of thing. And you did need it. And lots of character, great music, great atmosphere. Yeah, and I never finished it. I got to the final map screen, which is, if you can imagine, just the longest possible route to get from one side to the other, like this. And I never got to the final boss. It's on my bucket list. I need to finish this game. Sword of Vermilion, absolute classic. Right, the next one is Trazia. So there we go, that's Trazia. What do I have to say about this? Do I have something on my notes? It's got random battles, as do many of these games. Trazia, again by Renovation Projects. Again, one that I've had to import. Happy to have that in the collection. Now we have Uncharted Waters. Another game I don't have too much to say about, but it is there, Uncharted Waters. As is the case with Warsong, very long battles apparently. This is another strategy RPG, very in-depth, very long drawn-out battles. So if you're a fan of detailed strategy games, this is going to be up your alley. I'm not sure if it's up mine, but we shall see one day. Right, next is Wonder Boy in Monster World. What? Yes, I've included it in this collection. It's a platform RPG. I'm calling it that. That's what it is. You have upgradable character weapons, that kind of thing, and dialogue with characters that you come across. You know, you buy things from shops, and it's a fun game. It's a fun platformer. Great graphics, lots of character, and if I can try and show you some of it there, it's yeah, it's Sega through and through. It's a lot of fun. It's Wonder Boy in Monster World. Right, and the last one on the Mega Drive or Genesis is Ys 3. Now this got released on a lot of platforms before it was ported to the Mega Drive, and it's another action RPG from Renovation Projects. It's another one that has those kind of platformer side-scrolling sections to it, so I'm really intrigued to see how those play. So there is that one. Right, so on to the Mega CD. Okay, first of all we have Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Eye of the Beholder. So there is that one. Yeah, this looks like right up my alley. Another dungeon explorer, as you can see there. I love that style of exploration through levels. And, you know, yeah, I do like that kind of thing. So there we go. The next one is Dungeon Master 2 Skullkeep. Now this one apparently didn't work too well with the official Mega Drive controller. It's recommended that you use the Sega mouse to control this game. So I will be getting one of those before I try and play this, because you want to play it at its best. So there's Dungeon Master 2 Skullkeep. This game was praised for its AI. Apparently it had very good AI, and some reviews said that it was kind of like playing against another person. Back in the day at least, pretty good AI for the time. So there is Dungeon Master 2 Skullkeep. And next we have, on Mega CD, Shining Force CD. Now this is a compilation of 2 Game Gear games that came out previously, and they've been remastered, put onto the Mega CD. The 2 Game Gear games, you also can unlock a third game, which is apparently, a third chapter I should say, which apparently is quite tongue-in-cheek, so I don't know if it's like self-referential to the series or what, I don't know, but pretty intrigued to have that. This game is getting pretty expensive now to get hold of, so I'm happy to have that in the collection. Shining Force CD, and as you can see there, yeah, compatible with the Sega mouse. Also, there is one Mega CD RPG that I still don't have as well, actually, and that is Dungeon Explorer. It goes for around 50 quid now. It doesn't come up very often. Again, I just didn't want to pay that much for it, and I didn't want to wait any longer to do this video, so that's why it's only almost complete, but it's pretty damn close. Right, next. These are all imported Mega CD games, so Sega CD technically. None of these got European releases. So first we have Revengers of Vengeance. Now this is kind of strictly a one-on-one battler, one-on-one fighting game, but it has an RPG mode in it apparently. So I can try and show you some of the characters there. Kind of interesting looking cartoon characters. One-on-one fighter, but it has like I said, a role-playing mode within it. Not a very well thought of game, pretty cheap to get hold of, but I did have to have it imported because you won't find it in this country very often. Right, next one is Dark Wizard. So that again is another strategy game. So whether or not that'll be exactly my kind of thing, I don't know, but I'm happy to have it in the collection. It wasn't much to get hold of, and there's Dark Wizard on the Sega CD. Next one is Heimdall. Now this one apparently is quite basic. If you're new to the genre, then you know this is one to go for. Apparently quite basic game, but again not too expensive to get, so I thought I'd get it anyway. It's nice to have that ever closer to that elusive complete status. Not that I really care too much about that. Right, next we have two games very highly thought of on the Sega CD. It's Luna. We have Luna the Silver Star and Luna Eternal Blue. These games did pretty well. They got re-released on the Saturn and on the PlayStation. Yeah, and the Eternal Blue, the second game on there, is actually considered to be the highest rated game on the Sega CD. So yeah, very well thought of games. These are exactly the kind of turn-based battling RPGs that I love. So Luna. They get a bit more expensive nowadays as well. Right, next one is Vey. Don't have too much to say about that, although it was re-released on the iPhone in 2008, so it's got a few extra legs to it. This game got re-released recently. Another turn-based JRPG from Vey there. Nice metallic writing on there. Another game put out by Working Designs, who did a lot of good games on the Mega CD. I say a lot, considering the Mega CD didn't get that many games overall anyway. And the last game to show is the most expensive game in this collection, and it is Popful Mail, Magical Fantasy Adventure. Over 100 quid I paid for this, but it's a platformer RPG in the vein of Wonder Boy and Monster World. Really gorgeous looking graphics, lots of character, and yeah, so it even says on the front there though, Action RPG, so that's part of those. So another Working Designs title, Popful Mail there. Yeah, lots of character, really good looking. There it is, that's it. That is my almost complete RPG collection for Mega Drive and Mega CD. Tell me what you think of these games, guys, if you played any of them, and I'll see you guys in the next vid. Alright, bye bye.